Hey, Jawbreakers. How many of you have ever been in an argument, fight, disagreement? Everybody raise your hand, because that's just it. Everybody has been. I have a couple tell me before. I had a couple tell me one day. And they've been married for a long time. Like, we never fight. We never fight. We never fight. Here's what I say. If you say you never fight, you're either not communicating or you're lying. Because everybody fights. If you've been married for very long, you're going to get into a fight. If you've been around people, you're going to get in a fight. If you work with people, you're going to have disagreements. And so we're going to talk about how to fight the right way today, how to fight in a way that will build your marriage up instead of tearing it down. Today we're talking about jawbreakers and being sweeter together.
Yeah, so the question is not if we fight, but how we fight.
That's right.
It's not a matter of if we fight, because he just said we all fight. We're all going to disagree because we're not all the same. We're different. But the thing is how we fight, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And our text, the first part of our message today, is taken again from the Song of Solomon.
Woo!
I mean, like Song of Solomon.
I like Song of Solomon. Favorite book in the Bible. Favorite book in the world.
Pretty awesome.
Yes,
So
and
you wanna talk about
wait. And
next
next week is PG-13. It's PG-13 rated. Next week we are talking, and the series is going to be called, the message be called Red Hots. We're going to be talking about intimacies in relationship. We're going to be talking about sex. We're going to be talking about, so if you have a kid that's under the age of 13, we would encourage them. They say they need to go to one of the classes that we have. And so if
fair warning, because it could be a little awkward.
Yeah, we're not, no Barbie and Ken dolls or anything like that.
Age.
But it's going to be biblical. I don't know if you know this. The church doesn't talk about sex enough. I mean, where do people learn about sex? In the boys' bathroom, on the internet, with their friends, through the wrong way of learning about it, when God's the one who created sex,
right.
Who just loves God more now. You know what I'm saying? I don't like you, God. I'm mad at you. Oh, you made sex? Woo! Love you, Lord. Thank you. Good Father.
We want to hear about it from the right perspective, not a twisted perspective that the world wants to give us, right?
Yes.
He made it. He knows how it should be done.
Yes.
Amen? Amen?
Yes.
Yes, amen. So, but today we're still staying G-rated.
Yes.
Song of Solomon.
Maybe PG. Okay, we're going.
Okay, G-rated. Chapter 5, Song of Solomon 5, verses 2 through 5. I slept, but my heart was awake when I heard my lover knocking and calling. Open to me, my treasure, my darling, my dove, my perfect one.
That's pretty smooth. That's pretty smooth. That's very smooth.
I like it. My head is drenched with dew, my hair...
Now, that's the dude talking. Yeah, that's the guy talking, yeah.
Yeah, my hair with the dampness of the night. But the woman responded, I have taken off my robe. Should I get dressed again? I have washed my feet. Should I get them soiled? My lover tried to unlatch the door, and my heart thrilled within me. I jumped up to open the door for my love, and my hands dripped with perfume. My fingers dripped with lovely myrrh as I pulled back the bolt. I opened to my lover, but he was gone. My heart sank. I searched for him, but could not find him anywhere. I called to him, but there was no reply.
Now, from these verses in the Song of Solomon, we're going to find in these verses a common theme of common causes of conflict. That there are causes of conflict that happen, and some of the common causes, we're going to hit on 3 of them that we find from the scripture of common causes. Why do we need to know these causes? Because if we know the cause, it's going to help us, listen, not necessarily to stop the argument, but to know how to address the argument. Everybody understand that? Because sometimes when you argue, and you argue in the right way, it can actually make you better, and you can learn from each other if you learn how to do it. And we're going to look at 3 causes of conflict and that we need to be aware of. You're taking notes, you can write this down. First cause of conflict we need to be aware of are unmet expectations. Unmet expectations. And this happens all the time where we have expectations and they're not met. And because our expectations aren't met, what happens? A fight breaks out because we have unmet expectations. Maybe you're thinking, I'm going to have intimacy with my spouse or the one that I love, my husband or wife, and that doesn't happen. Unmet expectations can bring a fight. Maybe you're thinking, go ahead.
I mean, it can happen with friendships, too.
Yes.
I mean, any relationship.
Yeah, you think your friend's going to do this. They don't do it. You think, the house is going to be clean when I get home. It's not clean. You think he's going to pick up his socks and underwear. Doesn't happen. And so this unmet expectation, you're thinking he's going to buy me flowers all the time, ladies. And he's thinking, 2 times a year, I'm thinking Valentine's Day and your birthday, and we're all good. But your expectations are different. And unmet expectations can cause struggles and can cause strife. Look in verse 2. It says in chapter 5, verse 2 of Song of Solomon, I slept, but my heart was awake. And when I heard my lover knocking and calling, listen again to this. Open to me, my treasure, my darling, my dove, my perfect one. That is a good line. Those are good. So guys, you should just copy that right there. Use some of that stuff. And he says that, then he goes on and says, my head is drenched with dew and my hair with the dampness of night. Here's what's going on. If you look at the context of this, he's been out working all day, doing stuff all day, and he's coming home, he's sweated, he's worked, he's hard. All day long, he's been thinking about coming home and getting some loving. That's the context of this. Baby, I've been working all day. You're my honey, you're my love, you're my dove, you're my baby, and he's thinking, woo, I'm going to get some loving. And then all of a sudden, doesn't happen.
Door's locked.
The door is locked. The door is locked. All day long, he's like, man, I'll be done with this work day. I'm going to go to my honey. Go see my honey. And he gets home to the honey, and the door's locked. And there's an unmet expectation is there. See, that'll happen a lot where we have expectations, and they don't come to pass. And that'll cause strife, and that'll cause conflict, and that'll cause things to happen that shouldn't be good when we look at unmet expectations. For me, thinking about it, maybe you were expecting help with the kids. I think about that with Kim. We have 5 children, and when I come home, there are times where she just expects help from the kids, and I just expect to sit down for 5 minutes and watch ESPN. And she's living in a world that's just, and that unmet expectation should happen. A honey-do list. Who's ever had that don't get done? You get a honey-do list. There are things that Kim sometimes has expected to do. We had to talk through this. She was like, well, I have this, and I have this, and I have this, and I want you to do. And I'm like, I didn't know any of those things you wanted me to do. She's like, yeah, I want them done. Can't you just see them? Well, no, I don't see them. She put a picture on our wall one time, and it hung there for 2 years. And I walked by and I'm like, hey, I like the picture on the wall. That's great. When did you put that up? 2 years ago. I didn't even notice. That she had done that. And so, she gives me a list, and she had to learn with those unmet expectations. If you want this done for me, what you have to do, write it down. Let me know. Send it to me. Let me know this is done. I'll put it on my to-do list. And so, but the unmet expectation could frustrate her. But when I knew it, it made a whole big difference. And you got to figure this out. But unmet expectations cause conflict many times in relationships.
Yeah, so that's the first cause of conflict. The second common cause of conflict is selfishness. This is a big one, selfishness. Look at what she says in verse 3. But I responded, I have taken off my robe. Should I get dressed again?
Okay, pause. Pause right there. Pause. We're going to put the pause button right there. He's coming home, baby, I just want some loving. Her response to him was, hey, I've taken off my clothes. I'm ready for bed. Should I get dressed again? You're missing the point. You don't need to get dressed again. We'll go on.
Okay,
I was thinking, hey, no, baby, don't get dressed again. Nope.
Just answer the door and open it.
Yeah. Yes.
No clothes on.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
All right. We're going to keep going. I have washed my feet. That's next week.
Let's go back to that. No, we'll go to that next week. Next week, we'll go to that.
Week.
Okay, next week, teaser. There we go.
I have washed my feet. Should I get them soiled?
Yes, you should.
So basically, she's saying to answer the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to put on clothes. Yes, you should get up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
So she's basically her first response. If you look at the whole passage, her first response is one of selfishness.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, gosh, that's so much trouble. You really mean get up and answer the door? I mean, really? That is selfish.
I went through and did some study on this. On verse 3, I broke it down in Hebrew. What it means in our modern language from Hebrew, what is she basically saying to him is, I've got a headache.
That's really what it says, huh? Sure. Sure, honey.
It's close.
Yeah. That's a good analogy, though.
It is.
Yeah. But selfishness can go either way.
It does, and he was selfish.
Yeah.
When she said, hey, I'm already in bed, she's probably saying, I'm tired. He could have said, you know what, babe, it's okay. I understand. You're tired. You already gotten ready. It'll be okay. He was selfish also. So you see, both of them had selfishness going on.
And we talked about this last week. Is when truly when marriage works at its best, when it's good, is when both people take the other's interests and put them ahead of their own.
Yes.
When both people are working as hard as the other one to not be selfish, to be selfless.
Yes.
When you put someone else's interests ahead of your own, she wasn't doing this right here.
No, she was being selfish, and a cause. Many times. Causes of relationship problems are selfishness, because it's about what I want, what I need. It's all about my needs, when the truth is, what a Christian godly marriage should look like is it's not about me, it's about you. What my life should be about is not about me, it's about you. We should model that same thing in our marriage.
We see it with Jesus. What does the Bible say? He came to serve, not to be served, and give his life as a ransom for many. That's our model. That's who we need to model our lives after. He was the ultimate example of selflessness.
And being selfless is going to cause a lot of conflict to go away in your relationship, because you're going to be working really hard to outlove the other one, outgive the other one. Here's the third cause of conflict, a common cause of conflict. We have unmet expectations, selfishness. The third one is pride. Pride causes tons of fights in relationships. Look in verses 4 through 6. It says, and my lover tried to unlatch the door, and my heart was thrilled within me. It goes on and says, and I jumped up to the door for my love, and my hands were dripped with perfume, and my fingers dripped with lovely myrrh. She got herself all ready to go to the door. He'd been knocking on the door, and says, baby, come in. And she got all ready to go and meet him. It went from, no, I got a headache, to, baby, I want some loving too. And that's exactly what happened. It says, but as I pulled back the bolt, I opened to my lover, but he was gone. It says, and my heart sank, and I searched for him, but could not find him anywhere. And I called to him, but there was no reply. What did he do? He got mad, and he left. You're not opening the door? I've been working all day. You're not opening the door? I'm out of here. What is that? That's pride. I'm not going to look for or work for or try to get a resolution to our conflict. And let me say this too, resolution to the conflict is important, and you need to work toward that. But he said, I'm not trying to I'm just out of here, and that is pride. How many times do we see that in relationships? Pride keep us from resolution, where I gotta have it's all about, and because we don't get our way. You know what he could have done? He could have said that, babe, it's okay. You know what? I understand you're tired. I understand this. I love you. I've missed you. Been working hard all day just thinking about you, babe. How many know that would have been a lot better than him just bolting off? And she came looking for him. See, pride, here's what I'll say. Pride destroys so many relationships that I see. As we do counseling with people, there's people are so quick to point out the faults of the other person. Why is that? It's pride. I don't take the time to look at me, to examine me, to find the stuff that's messed up in me. I point the finger at the other. Why? Because of pride. I've had guys come to me and say, yeah, I won the fight with my wife, and now we're getting a divorce. And I'm like, well, you won the battle, but you lost the war. You won the battle, and you're all excited about you won the battle, but you lost the war. And I've said this to this one guy. He came in my office, and he goes, yeah, we're getting a divorce. He goes, she was wrong. She wouldn't admit it. And I was like, did you ever admit where you were wrong? No, I didn't, because she's wrong more than I am. He goes, but I won the fight in the end. And I said, okay, you won the fight in the end, and now you're getting a divorce, and somebody else is going to raise your kids. Because another man's going to marry her, and somebody else is going to raise your kids, and how is that going to feel? Did you win then, buddy? And he looked at me and goes, I never thought about it like that. And I'm like, yeah, you won, but in the end, you really lost. See, pride will say we won, when in the actuality, we lose. So let's live a humble life. What does the Bible say? It says that God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. When you have pride in a relationship, there's going to be pushing away. Everybody get that? But when you have humility, there's going to be embracing. Let's live with humility instead of with pride. Amen.
So we talked about the common causes of conflict, and we're not just going to leave y'all there without giving you the solution and how to deal with conflict. Aren't you glad about that?
Yeah, we could say, hey, here's all the problems. Amen. Service
Goodbye.
is over. Yeah, we're done. Here's the problems. You're host. No, you're not host. You're not.
So these next 3 points are really how to deal with conflict. He said all couples fight. Everyone fight. Everyone's going to have a disagreement at some point or another. And so Truly.
No, it's true. It's true. And people are like, well, you're pastors. You can't fight. Yeah, whatever. We both have type A personalities. We are both are very type A, very, and so when we get into a fight, it's like, it's like a lion and a tiger going. I mean, it can be. And so we have to guard that. You're like, but you're pastors. No, we are flesh and blood who have to deal with the same things. And so how do you deal with conflict? We are learning and have learned these lessons.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have it down perfect, but I think we're a lot better than we used to be.
Yeah.
And we'll still have issues, because you know what, we're all born into sin. At times we can all be sinful, we can all be carnal.
Yes.
That just means fleshly. We can approach a conflict from a flesh standpoint or from a spiritual standpoint. And the goal is to get so much like Jesus, look so much like him that we respond from a spiritual reaction and response. So,
yes.
Healthy couples fight for resolution. Unhealthy couples fight to win. We've talked about that. Healthy couples fight for resolution. Unhealthy couples fight to win. Fight for the resolution. Don't fight to be right.
Yes.
Don't fight to be right. Fight to come to a resolution. So, I love what James 1 verses 19 through 20 says, and if we look at this, we'll find all three ways to deal with conflict in this passage. Here's what it says. My dear brothers, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. For man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. You see, God desires for us to have a little bit of heaven on earth in our relationships.
Yes.
Amen?
Yes.
Marriage can be heaven on earth if it's done right.
Or
if it's done wrong, it can be a living hell on earth, right?
That's right. And you choose.
You get to
choose.
You get to choose. And so, but God wants it to be a righteous life. But we have to do it his way. He wants it to be heaven on earth. And so the first way to deal with conflict is to stop and listen carefully. Stop and listen carefully. Verse 19 just is the first point he says. The first thing he says is quick to listen. Be quick to listen. That's not always easy, is it? Not,
no.
Especially when you're right in the heat of the argument, right? Because you want to react. You want to say the first thing that comes to your head and just spout it off in anger, right?
That's dumb, yeah.
But we need to stop. We need to have the discipline to stop and listen. When you react in a situation, instead of responding, there's a difference, reacting and responding. When you react, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the wrong reaction.
Yes.
Right? If it's just right off the top of your head, no, stop. I mean, sometimes you need to count to 10. You take a time out.
Or 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to take a time out and just stop and say, you know what, I'm not in a good frame of mind right now. Let me just go get my thoughts together.
Yeah.
Before we continue, and then once you've stopped, then you come back and you know what, you have to listen. Be quick to listen. Be quick to get understanding, and then that. Be quick to get understanding. I think I got ahead of myself.
With the timeout,
yeah.
She was talking about taking a timeout. If you ever seen sports, when things are going bad sometimes, you'll see a coach go out and say, timeout, 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 and he tries to gather everything together. We actually we'll have a video up on our Church Facebook page where we have a counselor in our church, and she did a couple of minute long video on how to call a timeout in a relationship, because sometimes you just need to call timeout. You just need to say, hey, we need to stop right here because this isn't going anywhere good. It's not going anywhere good. It's going somewhere bad really quick, so let's call a timeout. And, where it says stop and listen, I would write above, stop, shut up. Shut up, because sometimes you just need to shut your mouth, yeah.
So, go on our website. We'll have that put up sometime next week.
Facebook page, yeah.
Facebook page, on our Facebook page, Common Ground Church. So, look for that, because it's some really, maybe 2 or 3 minute video
2 or 3
that's going to show you practical ways.
A tool to use to help your relationship.
Yeah, to help you take a time out. I love what Proverbs 18:2 says. Fools have no interest in understanding. They have no interest in it. Fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their opinions. How many of y'all know people like that? How many of you have ever been people like that? Oh.
How many of you are lying right now? I think we've all said
sometime in our lives, we've just want to air our opinion, not even get understanding. But when we get understanding, that's wise.
Yes.
The opposite of not being interested in understanding is having wisdom. Proverbs, all throughout the book of Proverbs, it says to get wisdom. And with all your wisdom, it says to get understanding. And so it's important in our conflict, in our relationships, to get understanding. Here's another great tool that you can use, is to do this. When you're in the middle of a disagreement, repeat back what you hear the other person saying. Say, okay, baby, here's what I hear you saying. You're saying that, and then you say it. And so that gives an opportunity for several things to happen. If you want to write these down, they're not in your notes, but they're really good. So, you may feel funny saying, well, here's what you said, but really, it will truly help you to gain some understanding. So the first thing it does is it forces you to listen. You know what? If you're going to have to say back what they said, you know what? You're going to have to be listening and not have the temptation of formulating in your brain what you're going to say to them to win the argument, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what we do many times when we're not listening is we're thinking about the next thing we're going to say to put them in their place, right?
No, I think we all do that, yeah. Like, I'm going to win this fight, so I'm going to say this, and I don't even hear what you say because what I say is more important. It goes back to selfishness, yeah.
But if you use this tool like I'm talking about to repeat back what they've said, it forces you to listen. That's the first thing it does. The second thing it does is it affirms the other person that you're hearing them.
Yes.
It affirms that you are hearing what they're saying. You may not agree with what they're saying, but at least they know that you've heard them. How many know it's important to be heard?
Yes.
How many feel valued when you feel that you've been heard?
Yes.
Isn't that good? Because we need to hear each other. We need to get this understanding. The third thing it does is it gives the other person the opportunity to give clarity. And this is huge. So when you say, okay, this is what I hear you saying, that gives them the opportunity to say, nope, that's not what I said at all. Because many times, you know what, it can get lost in translation many times because we're so different. We hear things differently than the other person. And they say, no, I didn't say that at all, And sometimes you can say something, but it's your tone that says something totally different, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So we need to watch our tones when we're talking
and
as
your
well.
eyes.
And your nostrils.
That's true. I'll give you an instance of this. Give you, for instance, of, what did you say? Hey, I heard this as you say this. There are times Kim's like, hey, can you go to the store and buy some olive oil? And I'm like, well, I hear go buy olive oil. So what do? I go to the store. I go in. As soon as I get in the store, I look for the first bottle of olive oil. That's the cheapest. And I go buy that bottle of olive oil. I bring it home, and I'm like, hey, here's some olive oil, babe. She's like, that's not what I told you to get. Well, no, you told me to get olive oil. Well, no, I want you to get the olive oil that's healthy, that has those little stickers on it that say non-GMO, not crappy, healthy. And I'm like, you never said that. Well, you should have known that's what I wanted. Because I said olive oil.
Sometimes I did say that and you didn't hear it. Sometimes I don't. Because I can make a mistake.
Or she says, go buy some cereal. Go get some cereal. Well, I'm going to go get some Cocoa Puffs and some Fruity Pebbles.
But you've learned.
I have learned. And I'll bring those home. And she's like, no, that's not cereal. That's the devil's cereal. Get that out of my house. We get that stuff that's healthy in this house. And so we eat cereal that's like cardboard. And so what... It's actually, some of it's good.
We actually have found some really good stuff.
We found some that's good. It just disappears like in 30 minutes. And so no, but what you say sometimes is not what the other person hears, especially with guys, with men and women. We're so different. She may be thinking one thing and thinking she's saying one thing, and I hear something totally different.
Else.
Olive oil, I'm thinking cheapest olive oil I can get. She's thinking get the healthy kind. And here's the thing. Just because you've been around each other a long time doesn't mean you get it every time either. Can I just say this, ladies? Don't expect him to read your mind. He's thinking.
Wow.
He's thinking about. He's thinking at the men's conference. We got to teach men when to be quiet. We got to learn this. We have next session. We're talking about when to shut up. Whenever you're not getting in trouble here. Men, they're thinking about food. They're thinking about, sports. They're thinking about, they're not thinking about how bad they smell, but they're thinking about very few things. They're minimalistic. And loving. Yeah, they think about loving. They're excited. They're not even hearing this message. They're waiting for next week. And I know they're listening. But you have to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to stop and I'm going to listen carefully and really listen to what the person has to say.
Yep. There's the last thing that when you do this is it keeps the focus on the issue and not the person. It's important to stay on the issue, not to attack the other person or vice versa, to attack their character. So when you say, hey, this is what I hear you saying, it keeps it on the issue because we don't want to attack each other. We're on the same team.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, when we attack each other, it's similar to this. It's similar to say someone was running football for a touchdown, and then all of a sudden their teammate, right before they cross the goal line, go and tackle them. That's what we do many times in our relationships because we're on the same team.
Our disagreements, yeah.
Yeah, in our disagreements, we're on the same team. If I tackle her and tear her down, I'm tearing down my team, and so we have to look at it like that. It's not her against me. It's us with us. And so we have to have that mentality. Second thing you find in James is this. We need to guard my words vigilantly, that we will guard our words carefully, that we're going to be really careful to guard our words. You know, we did a series called Sticks and Stones a few months ago about the power of our words. And, you know, they say the saying, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is wrong. Words leave scars that last forever many times. Some of you have been scarred by words that were said years and years and years ago, and they still have scars in your life. And we need to vigilantly guard our words. It says that, it says to be slow to speak. Slow to speak. Don't say the first thing that pops into your brain. Don't say that, especially when you're in the middle of an argument. Don't say that first thing, because it's usually not going to be good. But shut your mouth and be slow to speak. Think through before you say it. Should I say this? And I want to say this, a couple of questions in time of conflict that you need to ask yourself. Should what I'm about to say be said? Should what I'm about to say be said? Second question you need to ask yourself is, should I say it right now? Because there are times where what you are going to say needs to be said, but it doesn't need to be said in that moment, because it's not going to be received very well in that moment. You may be saying things that are true, but in a moment of conflict, if you say that thing, it's going to take it from a 1 to a 5, and then it's going to escalate to a 10, and it's going to get all crazy because you made a decision to not be slow to speak.
Use wisdom.
Yeah, look at this in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 23. It says, watch your tongue and keep your mouth shut, and you will stay out of trouble.
Pretty much.
That's Bible right there. That was written for some of us. What does it say? Watch your tongue and keep your mouth shut, and then you'll stay out of trouble. Sometimes you get in trouble because your mouth won't shut up. Just shut your mouth, be slow to speak. And I want to hit a few things of rules of, you know, you need to have rules when it comes into a conflict. You really do. Because you're going to have conflict, but you need to have rules that are set before you get into the conflict. Like when you're sitting down saying, hey, here's what we need to do whenever we're in conflict. Let's set some rules and some boundaries. Here's a few of those. I'd encourage you to take time to write down. One of the first rules, never call names. Never call names when you're in conflict, because you can call a name, that name is there. It's out of your mouth, it's going to stay there. Never call someone else a name. Here's another one. Never say never or always. Well, you never clean the bathroom. Well, you always do this. Never say never, always. Never make those huge, rash generalizations that don't go. Here's another one.
Those are inciting words. Those are going to
Yes,
escalate
that's going to make
quickly.
it go to another level when you do that. Never raise your voice, alter your tone, or look at him with evil eyes. Or flare your nostrils. I'll add that one. You know, because you can be saying something, you can say the right thing with the wrong tone and the wrong attitude, and it will take it to another level.
That'd be a good time for a timeout.
Make sure. Yeah, it's a good time to say timeout. I'm getting ready to lose it. I need a timeout. Let's just take a break right here. That is a good thing to do. Here's another one. Never get historical. What does that mean? Don't bring up the past. In the middle of an argument, don't be bringing up the past things they did a long time ago. That's just going to make the fight escalate. And listen, what it's going to do is that you're going to have a fight then and not a chance for resolution of the problem. Who's ever had a fight, been in a fight, and at the end of the fight, you don't even know what the fight started with? You're in a huge fight. You're like, what are we even fighting about? I don't know. Shut up. I hate you. You say stupid stuff, and you're back there and you don't even know what the fight was about. Keep it on the subject. Keep it on the point. Does that make sense? Shut up with all the other stuff.
Yeah, don't bring up the past.
Yeah, don't get historical. Here's another one. This is a good one. Never threaten divorce. Yep. Never threaten divorce. I never should have married you. Never threaten divorce.
Yeah, don't even use that word. And that's a way of just, don't say, agree. We're never going to use that word, the D word. Brick up the back door. Don't make any other exit. Brick up the back door.
Brick up the back door. There ain't no way out of here, baby. We're bricking up the back door because we're in a covenant. We're going to make this thing work. We're going to make it work. Here's another one. Never quote the Bible to prove your point. It's wise advice. Wise advice. Heard a story about a pastor. Him and his wife were in an argument, and he quoted the verse. It says, better to live in the corner of a rooftop than in a house with a contentious woman. And she looked at him and said, well, get up there then. Never quote the Bible. Study the Bible outside of the arguments. Work on you. Here's what I'm going to say, too, that'll help you. Guard your words vigilantly. Work on your marriage during times of non-conflict. During times of non-conflict, work on your marriage. Ask your spouse, hey, babe, what can I do to be better at this? How can I work on this? When you ask yourself the questions, should I say this and should I say it right now? There may be things you're not supposed to say right then that in times of non-conflict, you come back and say, hey, we had this issue the other day, and if it's okay, I'd like us to address this. I'd like us to talk about it. And he or she may say, I ain't talking about that right now. And I would say, okay, we won't talk about it. Well, we need to talk about this sometime. You know, and when we talk about conflict and everything, you have to learn to do it when there's times of peace and work through it as much as you can. You know, in our house, when we first got married, we had to learn this, and we did learn this, is that there are people in relationships, there are some that need a break, and there are others that are chasers.
In the middle of a conflict.
In the middle of a conflict, and it's getting heated. There are some that are like, you know what? I just need to call a timeout. I need to call a timeout because I need some time. I'm getting ready to lose my temper. I need a timeout. And there are others like, no, there ain't no timeout. We're going to finish this right now. We're going to finish it. And there are chasers, and there are timeout. There are people who just need a break. How many of you just are the need a break people? You just need a break sometimes. How many of you are the chasers? Raise your hand.
And that sounds so funny. Negative.
You know what? Chaser.
Let me just say what my motivation is, okay? And here's what my concern.
Chase me down. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
You can explain it.
I need to be quiet. What is it? Yeah. Okay. Let me meditate on this first. Watch your tongue, keep your mouth shut, and you will stay out of trouble. Okay, keep going. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm learning.
Because the reason why I was afraid that if we didn't solve it right then, that it wasn't going to get solved.
Ever get solved? Yeah.
So that was my concern, and so he had to learn to say, you know what, babe, let's take a break, and we will come back, and I promise you, we will revisit this and get it resolved, because I didn't want anything between us.
Yes.
He had to reassure me, you know what, we will fix this. I just can't do it right now.
Because she wasn't going to be confident. Some people aren't confident in the relationship of, we got to fix this or it's always going to be there. And I remember when we first got married, we lived in this little bitty house, and when she would make me mad and I needed a break, I would just say, I'm done. I'm not talking anymore because I'm going to lose my temper. I'd walk away. When I'd walk away, I would start cleaning. Because I can't just sit around. If I just sat around, I would just start getting more and more angry. So I'd go wash dishes, or I'd vacuum the floor, or I'd fold laundry. And if she would, I think if she was a little wiser, she would just make me mad all the time. We'd have a clean house all the time. Oh, she doesn't do that. Like, hey, I'm just gonna tick him off because they need dishes done. But so I would run, and we lived in this little bitty house. I remember one time we were in the living room, and we were in an argument. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm getting ready to lose it. And I'm going in here. I'm going to go wash dishes. I start washing dishes, and she follows me. She follows me in the kitchen, and I'm like, hey, I'm not doing this. And I walk in the living room, and I start folding clothes. She follows me. I go in the bedroom, start making the bed. She follows me. And the whole time, she's like, we got to fix this. And I'm like, and I remember I looked at her and said, you remind me of a chihuahua. Everywhere I go, it's yip, 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 yip.
That wasn't a smart thing to say, was it?
That was dumb. But we had to learn. We had to learn that, I had to learn this time out. I would say, just give me half an hour. Just give me an hour. And I'm going to come back, and it's going to be good. We're going to work on this, but I need some time right now.
And I had to learn to give him space. That was hard.
Yeah, she had to learn to walk away. And I'm like, it's time out. And she would learn, but it helps. It helps to not say the wrong thing in those moments, to take a time out and to do that. So, yeah, it helps tremendously.
So, here, what did we go over about how to deal with conflict? First of all, stop and listen carefully. Guard my words vigilantly. And the third one is to manage my anger righteously. Manage my anger righteously. You know, it says, be quick to listen, slow to speak. And the third one in James is slow to become angry. Slow to become angry. In Ephesians chapter 4, verses 26 and 27, it says this. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. So looking at those two together, slow to become angry. In your anger, don't sin. Don't let the sun go down while you are angry. So there's a way to manage your anger in the right way.
Yes.
So we're going to break this down and look at it. So if we are angry at a person, most likely sin will be right there, because you can be angry in the right way. Like if you are angry at sin or a sin type of principle, something like that. Like Jesus did this a lot. He would see something going on. I remember I was studying this, and he was healing the man with the withered hand on the Sabbath day, and the Pharisees said, "Is it right? Is it okay to do this?" And Jesus got angry at the hardness of their hearts.
Yes.
That was the right kind of anger. He was angry at the sin. We can be angry at sin and principles of sin, but when you're angry with a person, most likely it's probably not the right kind of anger.
It's not.
So this verse is saying, don't let the sun go down on your anger. It's like, don't take that anger close into your heart. Don't hold it there. Don't cherish it. It's like, get out of there quickly. Get that anger out of your heart and out of your life. Because, don't go to sleep with a bad feeling, like with an unkind feeling in your heart, right? You need to get it right. Get it right with the Lord. Get it right with the other person. Because when we hold on to it, what does it say? What does that verse say? It says, don't go let the sun go down while you're angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. That's what we do when we hold on to anger. When we hold on to it, we open the door in our lives to the enemy. We give him place.
Yeah.
And if we continue in that anger, many times what will happen is we will begin to have this ill will and revenge begin to develop in our hearts. And so the Bible shows us wisdom. It says, you know what, get it out of there. Don't hold on to it. Holding on to anger into the dark of night is giving place to the prince of darkness. Let me say that again. Holding on to anger into the dark of night is giving place to the prince of darkness, and we don't want to do that.
No.
We don't want to give the devil any room in our lives or in our relationships. So, I've noticed in marriage that there are two kinds of fighting posture. Okay? There's the silent fighter, and then there's the huffing fighter. Y'all know what I'm saying? We used to do this in the beginning of our marriage sometimes. We would try to be going to sleep and we'd still be mad at one another. We don't do this so much anymore. But Tom is the silent fighter. He would lay in bed and he would get as close to the edge of the bed as he could without falling off.
As far away from her. That's
as far
what I do.
away from me as he could get, right?
Getting away from you.
He's turned away from me, right? So he's...
You got my back to her?
Yeah. And he's as still as stone. He don't want to even give me the satisfaction of knowing that he's breathing. True story.
It's true.
True story.
Way over there. Mm-hmm.
But I, on the other hand, I was the opposite kind of fighter. I was the huffing fighter. You know, the kind where you're laying in bed and you take the covers, you turn over and you pull the covers over. And hopefully I've bounced the bed just enough that I will bounce him right off the edge. Right? How many huffing fighters we have out there like me? Huffing fighters.
Lord, touch their hearts.
Different is not necessarily bad. How many silent fighters? You're the silent type.
Sit there,
We got more silent ones. And it wasn't just one flip sometimes. Sometimes it was...
One flip? It was never one flip. What do you mean one flip sometime? It's like I thought she was, I don't know, man, she's wrestling a bear. Like, what do you
I was hoping to bounce you off the bed because you're at the edge of it.
I don't know what she's doing over there, but I ain't looking. If I look,
don't even know if
she
he's
wins.
alive.
I ain't looking. If she's fighting a bear, she's going to get killed by the bear. And I'm...
Two kinds of fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we can manage our anger in the right way, and that's probably not the right way.
No, definitely not the right way. Huffing fighters, wrong way.
Yeah.
Well, and silent fighters too. To say, hey, let's bring resolution here. Let's make something work out. Let's talk. Yeah, I think that's a key. Yeah, I want to hit on this. We're going to have prayer at the end, so we're getting ready to end service. We're going to have prayer, and there's some places in relationships where they hit really dangerous cycles, where you can hit some really dangerous places in relationships where you may need help beyond yourself. You need to seek somebody to counseling, to be a part of a marriage group, to have other people involved in your life. That's a key part.
An unbiased third party.
Yeah, unbiased third parties, and just to sit there and listen because you think he's wrong and he thinks you're wrong, and neither one of you are willing to look at it from an objective place. Sometimes you need that in your life, and here are a few of the dangerous cycles. Maybe you've developed a negative or a critical spirit about your spouse, and you say this to you always, and you never, and you say that all, and you're a this, and you constantly will say negative things about them and call them names. Maybe you're in contempt with them, and you even say things like, I despise you, I hate you, I never even really loved you, but you did, but you say these hurtful things that it's gotten to a level of where you are shutting all the doors. Some of you go into this defense mechanism where you say to them, it's all your fault. It's not me, it's all you. You are the problem of all of this. The last stage is helplessness. where you go to this and you say, it'll never be different, and I'm done. When the fact is that God can bring restoration, and God can bring healing, and God can do something amazing that you never imagined. You know, you're talking about our friends earlier. We have a set of friends that they were married, and they went through a horrible marriage, and they got divorced. And then God reconciled them, brought them back together.
Got remarried, had another ceremony.
Got remarried, had a whole nother ceremony. Been married for 30 to 40 years now.
Yeah.
And you'll hear him say, he goes, man, my second wife is so much better than my first. And yeah, we have other couples in our church where God did that. They went through a time where it looked like it was hopeless, and it was broken, and it was lost, and God can restore. God will take what is the most broken thing, and he can restore it if you give it to him. And so I would encourage you to do that. I would encourage you to do that.
So here's what I want to challenge us to do, is that in times of conflict, say this: I will fight for unity, not for personal victory. Amen.
That's the key. We fight for unity. You know, I'm going to say this. I'm going to bring a little bit different spin on this just for a second. Sometimes arguing is not a bad thing. You can find great ideas out of arguments if you learn to do it correctly. I was on a church staff a long time ago, and you could never argue about anything. I mean, you couldn't. They would sit there, and whatever the head guy said, you just said, yes, sir. And I remember one time we were in a meeting, and he went through, I got on the high-level team. I was on the top level of leadership, and he sat there, and he told us what we were going to do. He goes, does everybody agree with this? And I was new in the room. I didn't know. I didn't know, and I said, no, I don't agree with that. I think that's kind of goofy. And he went through, and instead of he didn't ask me why I thought it was not going to fit or not going to work. He explained the exact same thing again. And he goes, now does everybody agree with this? And I looked at him, I said, nope, still don't agree with it. He explained it 2 more times, exactly the same way, and said, now do you agree with it? And I'm with a group of other people there, and they're sitting there going, would you just shut up and agree? And I wouldn't. And I sat there and said, no, I don't agree. No, I don't agree. No, I don't agree. And I looked at the last time he said it, I said, I don't agree, but I'll do it. I'll submit to your leadership, and I'll do it, because there is a biblical principle of submission and authority. And if I submit to it wasn't against the Bible, it wasn't, and I submitted to it. The next church staff I was a part of, I remember I walked into a staff meeting. A bunch of people around this table in a staff meeting, and I'm sitting there. The other one, you couldn't question anything. I walk in this staff meeting, and they start getting into an argument. They're like, we ought to do this. Why? I think that's dumb. Why would we do that? The lead pastor came in and he goes, hey, guys, we're going to do this. And everybody's like, why would we do that? That's the goofiest idea ever. And they're arguing. A couple of them are banging the table. And I'm sitting there, and at the end of it all, what they did was they argued till they came to a resolution. Because they weren't arguing to say, here's what they weren't doing in this church. They weren't arguing to say, here is my point, here is what I think, and this is the way we should do it. They were arguing so they could find the best place. And so each one of them had a point in the thing. And so what we did was we took each one of their points and we built it into something awesome. And I remember walking out of that meeting after they'd argued, and I just hit my hand on the table a few times. I was just a guest, just because I thought it was cool. And I walked out of there, and here's what I thought. I thought, that is a healthy church. Do you know why? Because it wasn't them looking at one person saying, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. They were disagreeing, which will happen, but their disagreement built the organization and the church to be better because they disagreed without a disagreeable spirit. They were going in saying, I'm not going into this meeting to get my idea passed and we do my idea. I'm going into this meeting to find the best idea, and maybe it's a piece of my idea and a piece of your idea.
Because no one person is going to have all perspectives. It's good to have other people's viewpoints and to see things from a different way, because we need that.
That's what marriage should look like. We can sit there and have a discussion. What do you think we should do with this child? How should we address this issue? Well, I think we should do this. Well, I think we should do this. Well, you know what? Both of them have parts and elements that fit perfect. Because the two come together and become one. And I become better with ideas and thoughts when I don't say my thoughts are all right, but I embrace her thoughts, and we take both of them together to make it into something. And sometimes it makes friction to do that. Iron sharpens iron. Friction. Everybody get that? But it makes it better if you don't go into it saying, my way, my way, my way, your way, and we will win this thing together.